You're gonna love this.
I want to hear it. I'm objective. You're critical.
Anico at the disco.
He's positive. Join the Mixtape 615.
Today, tomorrow, yesterday,
It is the dopest supporter group in all of Nashville.
forever. Testing. 1, 2, trace. This is the Mixtape 615 podcast, baby, and we are the voice of the fans. Now, if you are a Nashville Soccer Club fan, you want to see what's going on with them boys in gold, then lock in with us real quick because we're about to tell you. I'm your boy, Tunji, a.k.a. Young Turtle, the Soccer Face, SF Doom, the DR Kid, affectionately known as Steam Papi, Yamame Por Favor, a.k.a. sipping Mai Tais on this beach in Belize, feeling cool, like a summer breeze. And once again, this is a Mixtape 615 podcast.
You good?
I'm good. I'm great, actually.
Too many of those glizzies coming through.
A little bit. I'm glizzied up right now. Anyways, Austin, tell them who you are.
What's up, guys? I'm Austin, aka Wildman, aka Ginger Snap. Don't cross this ginger, he may snap. Like last week, aka the Fumbling Dublin, aka Chicky Parm, aka Red Beard, the dopest pirate in all the 7 seas. Logan, tell me who you are.
All right, guys. Y'all know it's Logan, aka Beer Main, aka Manga Main. And this week we have a special guest coming on. You know him, you love him. Shay.
What's up, guys? Welcome to me, your favorite agent, and known as Somatos to these two as well. Always happy to be here.
Absolutely, guys. This is the Mixtape 615 podcast, brought to you by the Mixtape 615 supporter group, the dopest supporter group in all of Nashville and all of soccer and all of the world. And you guys want to jump in with us, just go to mixtape615.com. That is mixtape615.com and catch up on all the goodness, the blogs, this podcast on the YouTube every single week. Jump in with us there. It's great. Now, there's a lot of things from new numbers to new places. Everyone's moving everywhere. Preseason is here, guys. So I would say we're bringing it all the way to Nashville, but we are actually taking it down to Florida, down to Palm Beach, Palm Springs. One of the palms down
palms.
there. Some of these palms, just not in these palms. I just know I wish I was down there in the warm weather because it is cold up here. But luckily, I do have that Mixtape 615 beanie to keep me warm during this cold weather season. But we got to talk about this preseason.
Is that a merch plug?
I mean, hey, we have the ability to get you these. If you want one, just make sure you reach out to us.
We can keep your heads warm, is what he's saying.
But we got to talk about preseason a little bit. Austin, take it away.
Yes, sir. We had our first preseason match. So we are getting closer and closer, guys, back to the season. Wait. We are getting excited. Tunji's birthday is kicking off our
that's the only reason he's
MLS opener on his birthday. So you guys got to come show up
every year. Last year it was a CONCACAF Champions Cup on my birthday. Yep. Now it's the season start. I'm telling you, rock with me. I'll take us to the promised land.
We'll have some cake. Tunji, you'll have to tell us what your favorite cake is. We'll have some cake at our first tailgate.
There you go.
But guys, yes, they had their first match against the U.S. youth national team, the under-20s. And so we got to see a few of our players, with the preseason. We always see some switching out, trying out different combinations, getting more players, more experience. And so we did see our boy Mukhtar get a goal. We also saw Woobens Pacius, that we've been calling his number since last season.
Dirty.
And then Adam Sipic also got a goal as well. So Logan, I know you got to watch some of those goals. Unfortunately, we're not able to stream the whole game, but you got to see some of the videos that Nashville posted. What are your thoughts on some of those goals that we got to see?
I mean, dude, Woobens is the one that takes the cake for me. Like Hani getting a goal, we all love that. We all know it. We love it every single time it happens. Sipic getting the goal from the pass in from Schaffelberg, that was awesome. But man, that Woobens Pacius goal, like just the little hesitation, that little just like lift with his foot, like just such a dirty goal. It was so amazing.
Yeah, the form was impeccable. Yeah, form was impeccable on that, bro.
Well, I said it off camera earlier, but it was a goal scorer's goal. He was patient. He waited. It was a true striker goal. He didn't try to force it. So yeah, I was excited to see that. I'm hoping that we get to see more of that. Maybe up in Nashville, maybe get some of those call ups. Nashville SC Mixtape 615 once Woobens Pacius.
Yeah, we want to see the Woobens
because they listen.
Yeah, they listen.
Well, hey,
us,
who
right?
knows, man? Some of them do apparently. They've talked to us before. But guys, one of the coolest things from that I see is that we've seen him do this in Huntsville. I know that some of us that watch this, that is some of you listeners that watch this, y'all have also checked out Huntsville a little bit too. And this is something we see from him down there. It's just cool to see it on this level now.
Yeah, I mean, once he got active with Huntsville, like once he got active with Huntsville last year, you know, he was injured for a bit, but when he came back, that's kind of in line with when that team started turning their season around. You know, I mean, they got him and a few other guys, but like he made a big difference.
Once they actually got a coach,
yeah, well, the coach
that helped as well. But yeah, so I mean, we're excited about seeing some goals scored by the Nashville players, some Huntsville players as well with Woobens and Sipic. But Tunji, now that we're talking preseason, we don't want to just focus on the match because we can't watch the match. We want to talk about our expectations. What are you expecting or hoping to get from this preseason heading into the season opener on your birthday?
Goals.
Okay.
I want more. Like what happened against the U.S. men's what was it, under-20s team that they played?
Yep.
I want that. I want 3 goals. I want goals. Like that's Jimmy James Callahan said you got to score at least 50 goals. Mm-hmm. And if that's what he's working on in this preseason, that's what his game plan has been via the offseason, then that's what I need to see going into the season. I need to see that you're like, hey, you said you want more goals. This is you came in halfway through the year last year, right? You didn't really have much of an opportunity to impact what was going on with the guys on the pitch. Now you do. Now you've given me your game plan. We understand who you say you are. I'm going to be full on skeptical until you show me that you are who you say you are. So if you say that we're going to score goals, I want to keep seeing these goals. That was great. What the goals that they posted on their IG from that scrimmage match, that was awesome. So right now it's lining up. They made some really good moves in the offseason. They made some decent signings, in my opinion. So I'm seeing that, like, okay, last season they recognized how bad it was. They recognized how bad it was to be a fan and to watch what happened to a once great organization. That downfall, you know. So, like I said, I'm looking for goals, bro.
I think overhaul for sure. Hoping that we can get some of that.
No, of course, I think we all need to keep in mind this is not a knock on our team. This is not this is preseason. We all do understand that, but something we also need to understand and we need to keep in mind is that this was also the U20s team. Yeah, this is not top tier U.S. talent yet.
They should score 3 goals on them. Like,
easily. But this is something that we do need to make sure that we keep in mind, that this is them starting to get that work in.
Yeah, I think this is Logan setting expectations, because if we think about the start of last season with the CONCACAF, we did score, I think, a total of like 7 goals against, maybe a total of 8 goals against Mocha FC in CONCACAF. And then we saw how our season went from there. And so I think it is wise to set our expectations accurately. But Shea, looking at the preseason, looking at what BJ, I'm getting back off on what
Ryan Julius Callahan.
Tunji calls them all of the different names, but what BJ Callahan said in his press conference last week, he was talking about how if you look at the MLS playoff teams, traditionally you're seeing 50 goals scored. Nashville hasn't even hit 40 goals in a season, I think is what Logan was looking at last year. What do you expect, and what do you think that this preseason training what needs to happen for them to access and get those goals.
So it's actually interesting. Nashville was obviously comfortable with a lot of the guys they have on the pitch up front on the attacking side. They were looking for a young winger / second striker. And that was really it, guys. The rest of what they've been looking for in the offseason is a ball moving 8, a center back that can also distribute, a wing back. I mean, we've seen these signings, a defensive mid, right? So they're obviously happy with what they have. To say they need to score 50 goals and not make amazing changes says to me is it wasn't a player thing offensively. It was I don't know if you want to call it a strategy thing, if you want to call it an organizational thing, if you want to call it, hey, it just needs to switch things up, a formation thing. Probably what they're working on is better ball movement. I mean, the reality is if they're happy with who they have, which it obviously is the case, then they think they have the pieces in place. They just didn't have the proper between the two boxes, right? They just didn't get it done. And they've obviously focused with like Acosta, who's, Acosta's first year in Dallas showed he can score goals. Andy Nahar has been a long time offensive wing back. Center backs they're looking for more out of this year. They obviously felt that they had the pieces. They just needed to change a few things. So Woobens, as you mentioned before, Austin, there's no doubt that he would have to be playing an important role at this point. I mean, there's no other way to say that Nashville's going to score 50 goals unless they fully expect those guys underachieved last year.
Yeah, because Teal Bunbury is getting older. We've all talked about him. I think he's, I think he's there for the veteran presence at this point, because he scored, I think, 3 goals last year. 2 of them were PKs, and that came within the first 3 or 4 games. And so it's not like he was doing a lot in the goal scoring area, and he hasn't been. He showed that his finish in the box isn't what it should be or what we need it to be. And so I'm hoping that Woobens Pacius plays a larger role behind Sam Surridge and then having Teal there just as a veteran presence, getting the long ball. Yeah. Maybe we play both of them, because we did at one point play multiple center or strikers, and with that, we had a Jago in that role a lot. And now that he's gone, maybe Woobens fills that position and we can see some things happen. And so, Logan, we're talking about this preseason, what our expectations are. I know I asked you kind of about the match that we saw. Do you have any expectations or is there anything that you are hoping that they work on, that they focus on during this preseason?
I mean, some of the biggest thing that we've talked about for a long time that I want our team to really focus in on and really try and work into their game is moving the ball through the middle. How to have it progress from the back line up and hopefully progress it quickly. We saw time and time again last year where if we didn't get on that start quickly, it was impossible for us to continue to move the ball forward. We have focused way too much on the left to right, left to right, left to right, and we're not working anywhere with that, because every time it gets to one side, we've progressed it so slowly that then we have to pass backwards again. So it's not only moving the ball forward, but moving the ball forward quickly and with purpose.
They've clearly added to the back half of their, on the pitch.
Yes,
to do just that. I mean, having
got the Patrick Yazbek, you've got the Edward Togseth. They're both two-way midfielders.
Yep. I mean, I think what we're going to see is a substantial change in the speed of play as well, and connecting the defense to the offense. And absolutely, I think you hit the nail on the head.
I'm excited for that, man. I mean, we talked about it last pod, but like Logan, in regards to what you're looking for, I don't see a way that it can't look the same as last year or years before. Like, I just, in my mind, I'm like, that's a given, dude. Like, yes, you're right. Like, it might not be as smooth at first, but I'm like, the changes that they've made, the people that they brought in, it's a whole new midfield, bro. Like, it's unless these guys are inept, which I there's nothing to that makes me think that they are. The ball is going to move in a way that we have not seen the ball move for Nashville SC ever. So I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, the whole spine of the team. Yeah,
exactly. I mentioned it last podcast where we saw what Alex Muriel could be under BJ Callahan. He was our third leading goal scorer, and I think 3 or 4 of his goals came after BJ came in, like in those last 9 matches. And so with that happening, I think that he can develop these players, because like what Shea was saying, it wasn't necessarily a personnel issue up front when it came to the goal scoring. I think it was a scheme or a strategy issue. Yeah. And so you saw different eyes on the team, different strategy, brought in some goal scoring as well. It wasn't what we were hoping the last 9 matches, but BJ now has his squad. I think he has helped develop this, and so we're hoping that we can see more. Let us know in the comments what you think and you're hoping to see in this preseason. But we're gonna move on to our next segment, which is a very exciting segment. We've got a player interview, so stick around and find out who that is.
Are you tired of neck or back pain? Maybe it's shoulder pain or headaches get in the way of your busy life. Well, Christ Chiropractic is right here in Franklin, Tennessee, and they've been helping families and professionals live their best life for over 25 years. They specialize in spinal decompression therapy and chiropractic adjustments that are there to tackle the pain and get down to the root cause without drugs, without surgery. So whether it's stress from work or chasing your kids around, they have got you covered. Visit christchiropractic.com. That's CRIST chiropractic.com to schedule your appointment and take the first step toward living a pain-free life.
We've got Erik Lauta here. He is now just got signed as of today of the recording, just got signed with Huntsville City as the new #1 goalie coming in. Erik, man, welcome to the pod.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, dude. We're excited to have you on here. Tell us just a quick little tidbit about yourself, man.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a goalkeeper, 21 years old. Grew up in California, Central Coast, Santa Cruz area. Spent the last few years in college and just finished up University of New Hampshire and moving on to play professionally. And ended up in Huntsville and with in the Nashville scene. So yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Man, we're excited to have you down there. We're excited to have you hopefully come up to the first team a little bit too, man. We're really looking forward to it. I know that some of us have kind of been watching you a little bit more as well coming out of the draft. In fact, I know you weren't necessarily called from the draft. You got the call kind of right after the draft, man. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like coming up to the draft a few days before, wasn't really sure how things were going to pan out. I didn't really have any clear options. I was looking around in the USL, with the USL clubs as well. But no, Nashville ended up reaching out to my coaches, got in touch with them, and was just able to have a good conversation with their goalkeeper coaches. And no, it progressed pretty quickly. There was clearly some interest, and it turned out there ended up being a couple other MLS clubs that were interested, but Nashville was the one that. Yes, the draft ended up playing out the way it did, but as soon as it was over, Nashville came forward, Huntsville, and they came forward and they wanted to bring me in right away, and that just showed to me their commitment, and yeah, I appreciated that, and it sounded like it was the right place for me to be. So
that's awesome, man. Can you actually just because I'm sure all of us are curious about this, kind of what does that process look like of getting signed by an MLS club?
Yeah, I mean, coming out of college, it's kind of its own unique path. I think a lot of MLS, almost pretty much every MLS team these days is heavily scouting college and looking for talent. And so for me, I think I just had a few. I had a great season with New Hampshire in my last season, and so coming out of that, I think there were a few teams that had picked up on that, and they reached out, before the draft, and from there it's just a matter of how the draft plays out. And obviously, if you get drafted, it means that team has your rights, but it doesn't even guarantee a contract necessarily. So it's a weird stepping stone where you're kind of looking for the best opportunity, but you never really know if anything's going to be 100% until you get that contract offer, until someone is coming forward and saying, yeah, we really want to sign you, and then you negotiate it from there. But No, it's an interesting process, especially that first contract, because it's a big one, when you're making that first step out of college and into the pro game. So
What's kind of that process or that transition look like? Because again, you grew up in California. I know that you did play in New Hampshire. Kind of give us an idea, like what's that move from West Coast to that kind of Northeast area? How does that look for you? How does it feel?
Yeah, it was a very interesting change. Obviously, the weather is the first thing that you think of when you're going up to Boston, New Hampshire area, and you go into the winters, and it's snow everywhere, basically snowing every week. And,
did that affect your gameplay, like staying loose?
The first winter was definitely a challenge, like just getting used to it and learning that, okay, I got to wear more layers. And I learned as a goalkeeper, you can wear like latex, like almost doctors, like plastic gloves underneath your gloves. It basically traps the heat of your hands with your sweat and keeps your hands warm. That's a little trick of the trade. And I don't know.
Bro, don't give away all your secrets, man.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I'm happy for it's advice that I got, and it worked out really well for me. But no, like the first winter was interesting, but then after that, you get used to it and you learn how to manage it. So it's not that big of a problem. But no, it was a big change.
I mean, you're down in Florida right now, aren't you? It's snowing. It's got blizzard somewhere down in Florida. I know it's kind of towards the Panhandle, but
yeah, no, we're fine. We're in Palm Beach, and it's nice and warm and a little bit of rain, but overall beautiful weather down here. So yeah.
So Eric, you said you grew up in Cali. I spent some time in the Bay Area. Pretty much it's like San Francisco, Oakland, and in those areas. You're if I'm not mistaken, you're from Aptos, California, like that Santa Cruz area, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Aptos is the little town I'm from. It's in Santa Cruz County, which is, it's like 45 minutes south of San Jose, like the earthquakes in that whole area.
I was just about to ask you that, bro. Did you go to any earthquakes games?
Oh, I was season ticket holder since I was a little kid. My dad played soccer
over there in PayPal Park, huh?
Yeah. My dad played soccer his whole life. And so, as soon as I was like old enough to come to the games, like 5, 6 years old, probably, he was taking me every week. We would be going to the Earthquakes games back when they were at Buckshaw Stadium, which was just like on the Santa Clara University campus, small stadium. But now they got PayPal. PayPal Park, which is really nice. So.
That's awesome. So the MLS is not new for you. You're pretty familiar with the game.
Yeah, totally.
That side of it.
Yeah, in that sense. No, it's I grew up watching MLS all the time, and those were the guys that I idolized back in the day.
Who was the guy for you?
Well, in MLS growing up, it was probably Joe Cannon, because he was the main San Jose Earthquakes goalkeeper when I was about that age, like 6 to 10 years old. And he was great. I mean, he was MLS All-Star, and it's actually funny because he ended up coaching me a bit when I was training with Monterey Bay FC. Which is, the new USL team back in California. I was training with them, and he ended up coaching their goalkeepers. So he was coaching me for a little while. So that kind of came full circle, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
Awesome.
Okay. So we've got a lineage of excellence here with the Joe Cannon link, 2-time MLS goalkeeper of the year, right?
Yeah. He was great.
That's
Holy
awesome.
crap. All right. I think we got something here, man. Let me ask you this. San Jose. Did you ever, when you were in San Jose, like when you were making those trips up to San Jose, did you ever go to a spot called La Vix or La Victorias?
I don't think so. Not off the top of my head.
It's a burrito spot out there. If you ever go back out there, you need to go there, and you
I'll
need to get you need to get the orange sauce. That's what you need to get.
All right.
I got you, bro.
Orange sauce.
I got another question for you, brother, man. Like one of the things I know about you is you had a ridiculously high save rate. Like you have a ridiculously high save rate. That's just like something that really stood out to me when like looking into you and when Nashville was looking into you. Like, what do you? You just told me about your Joe Cannon. Like, what do you attribute that to? I mean, is that a mindset? Like, is that your training process? Like, what? And I know it's a crazy question to ask, but I mean, like, your save rate is through the roof, brother, man.
Yeah, I had a good year with New Hampshire, and also at Tufts. Things went well, but no, I think it's a tough question. I think at the end of the day, a lot of it's consistency and a lot of that's mental. Like a lot of goalkeepers can give a good performance, but can you give that good performance? It doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10 every week, but can you give a good 7 out of 10 every week, 7, 8 out of 10 and just help your team back there. And I think that's where that comes from. And thankfully over the course of the season, especially in like the second half of the season with New Hampshire this last fall, like we just had a good string of games defensively. I was making a lot of saves and just found that rhythm and that consistency. And over time that adds up, and it works out. But I mean, it's also stuff with save percentage. Just a lot of it is what are the opportunities given to you. Some teams might concede a lot of shots closer in toward the goal or a lot of 1v1s, and that makes it difficult, so there's a lot of factors in play there. But I think something it's big for a goalkeeper is just trying to give those consistent performances, and then every now and then maybe pulling off something great that wins your team a game, but
yeah, there you go.
You're also with one of the more down in preseason right now, you're with one of the more consistent goalkeepers in MLS, and Joe Willis.
Yeah, absolutely.
How's that been training with him?
It's been phenomenal. Joe's, first of all, he's a great guy. He's been just super great to work with, super friendly, and is always open to just have a conversation about anything, but also to give advice. And he's been incredible. And just seeing him in training every day, that he's always clean. He's always at it, and even for, he's getting to the latter end of his career, but even physically he looks phenomenal. He's really on top of his game. So it's been great getting to work with him.
That's awesome. So how has this transition been? You were with Monterey Bay's team. You got some training with their USL team, the USL side. You were in college at New Hampshire, and then now training with MLS players, training with, top level in the US. How has that transition been for you? Kind of keeping up? Is the speed a lot different?
Yeah, no, it's different for sure. I had the pleasure of getting to work with Monterey Bay FC, their first team the last 3 years, and that really was the first exposure I had to the professional level. And I even did get a chance to work with the Earthquakes here and there, just a few times last summer. So I've gotten to see little snippets of what the MLS environment's like, and I've gotten to experience it. But now being in it like full swing, it's an adjustment. I think everything just happens a little bit faster, and you got to get used to that. But once you do I think you just got to find that rhythm. You just got to get used to the speed, to get up to the speed. And I think even just in this last week and a half that I've been with the first team now, it's been great. And I think I've adjusted a lot and improved a lot in that time. Just being in that environment, and being in that environment where everything's just moving a little bit faster, just forces you to be faster. You don't have a choice, so it's been great. But the transition, it's a big transition. It's a big jump, but it's been going well so far, and I'm enjoying it.
That's cool. Now, I don't know, I'm less familiar with how all the training goes during preseason. Are you facing a lot of shots from like the forwards in Nashville?
Decent amount. Yeah. It's not like 100 miles an hour, the coaches are smart about it. They build this up. They, from zero, like the first day's pretty light, and then it gets more and more intense every day. We've had a couple of double days. Today we had 2 training sessions actually. So, it's starting to ramp up a little bit. I'm getting a lot of shots from the guys. They do lots of finishing, especially, Hani and Sam, they love doing the extra work. They're great guys. I've been getting a lot of shots from the guys. It's been good.
Yeah. Being on the other side of a MLS MVP and Golden Boot winner, I'm sure that's probably getting you up to speed real quick.
Oh, for sure. But I wouldn't ask for anything else. It's great. It's a great experience.
Yes, that's awesome. That is awesome. Well, hey, we want to let you go. We don't want to keep you up. I know that you've got training going on, but thank you again so much for agreeing to be on this podcast with us, jumping on here. We are looking forward to following your career with Nashville, with Huntsville, kind of seeing what that looks like for you. We hope and wish you all the best. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on. It's been great.
What's up, Mixtape family? The new season's around the corner. In fact, it's already here, and you know it's time to turn it up. Tailgates, away match days, the whole shebang.
And here's the play. Our official watch party spot this season is going to be Lucky's 3-star bar. That's 3 stars out of 5, and it's just a short walk from Geodis Park on 4th Ave.
Nah, man, I'm giving them 5 stars out of 5 because Lucky's is where it is at. The pregame is strong, catching every single minute of the action, watching our Nashville SC boys get the dub with the dopest supporter group in all of Nashville.
And you already know you can still get lit with me at Lucky's. Cold drinks, glizzy, screens everywhere. The vibe is undefeated.
So roll up with your squad. In fact, you're part of our squad. Come to Lucky's 3-star bar. It's our new away match day headquarters. Let's make this season legendary.
Big energy all season long. Let's get it.
Yeah.
All right, that was awesome, man. Thank you again, Eric, for coming on. Man, dude, that was so dope being able to talk to him, and he's fresh into the Nashville SC, Huntsville FC kind of like ecosystem there. So like you heard it here first. Mixtape 615, baby.
Exclusive first interview, man.
Yeah, I know, man. We're bringing it to the fans, bro. We're giving the fans what they want. They want to know, what are we doing, the team, when it comes to developing this young talent. You just heard from someone who was going to be a part of that program down there, who's hopefully going to be someone that we see for years to come. But we do have some guys, some homegrowns, a third homegrown in Chris Applewhite, 17-year-old from Maryland, joined the academy in 2022. He's got a high ceiling, guys. He's got a high ceiling. You know, like when we look at a guy like Chris Applewhite, you know, the big thing that stands out to me is just his maturity. His mental game is on another level. He had 20 appearances by the age of 17 for Huntsville. That is not normal. Like that, like who, you know what I'm saying? This is what, when we talk about, and that's what I've been hearing a lot on the interwebs. What is Nashville doing when it comes to developing young talent, finding young talent? We've got 3 homegrowns right now that have gone through the system, but it feels like to me, and please, if you're listening, throw it in the comment section there. Let me know. But it feels like to me, overall, people don't think that we're doing too much. But I raised the argument. Look at what we've got. I mean, Shay, like you're as close to it as any of us, man. Like, do you think that Nashville is actually? I know that we're still building this thing out. Where I think it's unfair to compare us to some of these more established teams, more established programs. But what do you see so far? And be honest, be brutally honest in how we're developing younger talent.
Sure. I mean, the reality is our map, Nashville's MLS homegrown map, stretches over an area can be considered barren for soccer talent. So you have to look at what Nashville has to work with. And they've put a lot of investment into it. I think you're going to start to see that now with, MLS2 being in a few years at this point. So you're going to start to see that talent now. Originally, that talent would go off to a USL affiliated club or such, but now you can actually track that pipeline of players up. Now, with that said, one thing that does catch my eye, of course, Tunji, is the first thing you said is he's from Maryland. So for that transition to come from Maryland to Tennessee, play a couple years in the academy, and then get a homegrown contract likely requires some sort of financial agreement of sorts between his original homegrown region and Nashville. So it might sound weird, but it also shows that Nashville's willing to make the commitment financially to young players, even if they're not from Nashville. So
when you say the financial commitment, was it like his homegrown region might have already had rights and then they
would have, correct.
Okay.
So 2 things, and I've mentioned it before. There's a protected list. All right. He was not apparently on a protected list. I don't know where he's from in Maryland. I assume he was in DC system. DC has a huge plethora of players to choose from. I would assume though that there was some sort of agreement that had to take place for DC to forego his homegrown rights. Was there money switched? Did it switch hands? I don't know. But my point is Nashville was willing to take that risk. Now, on the other hand, I was excited. We were so excited last year with BJ. What's he going to do with the youth? This and that. But they signed a bunch of older guys. So I don't know what the plan is yet.
They did in between.
I was going to say, there's a balance.
That came in, and the Edward Togseth. They're both 22 and 23. Woobens Pacius, hopefully getting some call ups.
That was before he came on board. Before BJ came on.
Woobens was before, correct.
Woobens was before. Yeah.
And so, to answer Tunji, how are Nashville doing? I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what BJ does, because prior the answer was what Tunji's looking for is we didn't have an answer. And now we're going to get one. We don't have it yet. I think we're starting to see that. But part of me believes that BJ is admitting also that it's going to take time.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's exactly when I see people saying that we're not doing anything on the, like, when it comes to developing the youth. We've got to win games first. We've got to get back into the MLS playoffs, for crying out loud. I just don't think you're gonna do that. Yeah, we talking playoffs, baby. We're not talking about the game. We're not talking about we talking playoffs, all right? And BJ Callahan, yes, I think that, look, his resume tells me he's a guy who can find and develop talent. I think that he's probably going maybe 30% at that right now, because he knows, hey, we stunk it up last year. Even when I took the helm, it still wasn't that good. It was an incremental improvement when he took the helm, but I don't think that if he spends even 50% of his time trying to develop talent, I think we're going to be right back in that position where we're struggling to get goals. We're struggling. Like, you want him to sign a bunch of young guys and put them on the first team? Like, no, he's got to steady the ship. He's got to steady the ship right now. And that's why I'm okay with the mix of having a lot of older veterans to get that stability back into this program. But I mean, look, he's not the first or the only homegrown player we have. We do have two more. I mean, we got Isaiah Jones, who was a local kid, Middle Tennessee. I believe from the Murfreesboro. I might be wrong on that. I'll double check. I'm pretty sure I am wrong. We got Adam Sipich, who we saw score recently. So there's good things happening, I believe. And I mean, Logan, Shea, do you have a take on that?
Well, let's remember where BJ comes from, and that was Philadelphia, which has just an outstanding academy. I
was thinking about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, between the Aaronsons and the Sullivans and those, I mean, the amount of players that have come through Philadelphia, and then they even moved on to Europe. The center back, I forget his name. He leaves me when I think he went over to Belgium. So it's tough. It's a tough transition to somewhere like Nashville. I would not put so much, how do I say this? I would not put so much weight behind how many homegrowns they've signed, as we don't know what's kind of going on internally. If there's some pressure just to call some up, right? Seeing if they strike out. I have a player I work with. I won't mention the name, but he signed with Chicago Fire at age 16. Three of his buddies were he was a 4 signed. 3 of them became stars, and unfortunately for him, it didn't work out. He's 20 now. So sometimes it's just hey, let's see what sticks. And I've mentioned this off the screen. I've mentioned it prior. There is no budget implication for this decision. You have to pay him, but it doesn't hit the budget otherwise that a normal signing would do. So there's a really low risk to seeing if that player is good enough. I just don't know if these signings mean that Nashville has a talent, or they're just trying to see if they have a talent, or B, just keep some positivity in that academy that, hey, you can get signed on the first team. They still have you still have to recruit academy, guys.
Do you think they're playing politics, and like that's more, they're signing these players more so that they can recruit more?
Well, do you want to go to where do you want to go? Do you want to go to an MLS academy where players get called to the first team, or one where they don't?
Well, you do need to keep in mind, hold on. We do need to keep in mind that in BJ's first presser before Applewhite was signed just this last time, he even said, he was like, like, we're having to start from the top down, and yes, it'll get to the academy. So his focus is not necessarily there on the academy, but I'm sure Again, I said it on the last pod. He's trying to build that coaching tree out.
Right.
He's trying to build that system in which he wants. I'm sure he's putting the people that he wants in place in the academy to make sure that they develop in a way that he can start calling those guys up. He can start getting those guys signed by other local, and when I say local, I mean US clubs.
Yeah, look, exactly. I think we're all I think we here on this pod, they're on the same page. Like, it's got to start somewhere, and right now I need it to start here, Nashville SC, and I need to start with getting us points, getting us playoffs, getting us goals. But when we look at and yeah, I have my takes on these three guys. I'm not going to be too harsh because they are young cats, and I do understand, Shay, that they have to. That some of these are just going to be flyers. We're just going to see if they got it. But a guy like Chris Applewhite, you look at his like what his resume so far.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's got a high. I feel like that's
Makes
one
the
where
most
you
sense.
could be.
He
If
makes
I
the
was to
most
give
sense.
him a way too early comparison on a player comparison, player comp, and this is going to be crazy, but hey, I'm not an analyst. I'm just a fan. VVD. Or Chiellini with that physical
Really?
and aggressive play style.
Really?
That's my player comp. That's my player comp. And that'll get all of my cred. What little cred I have just went out the window.
Are you saying Virgil?
Someone save this. Yeah.
Is he trying to compare this guy to Virgil?
Save it. I said it was a way too early comp, but once again, you heard it here first.
You know what? It
Check
is a
back
way
in
too
5
early
years.
comp.
We got to
Now-
hold them accountable.
Now here's the thing.
No one's gonna
do I
remember
like
this.
that comparison as a Liverpool fan? Yes, but do I think it is an apt comparison? Not quite. I do think he has a lot of potential. I do think that his ceiling is high. However, he is still young. We want to see where he ends up. And that's where I'm going to hold my reservations.
Hold on. Have we even mentioned that he was invited and to the MLS Next Pro All-Star match?
No,
I mean,
not yet.
He did play in the MLS All-Star game, and so I mean, being selected for that as a 17-year-old playing for Huntsville, I think that's pretty cool.
It is,
and I think it says something that I don't know if it's, like what Shay was saying, like I don't know if it was playing politics, because if that's the case, as a 17-year-old, his first year with Huntsville, getting called up, and I don't know what all goes into the MLS Next Pro All-Star game, because Shay's alluded that it may not be at the same level as USL, the MLS Next Pro, and so maybe it's not as big of a call up, but I still think it's pretty impressive that as a 17-year-old in your first year getting called up to your league's all-star game.
Yeah, and I'll wrap up that. And you segued me into a point I want to make, guys, is the USL, for example, is far more established and gets a lot more attention. It's on TV, ESPN Plus. It's on CBS's app. It's even on TV sometimes on CBS. MLS2 doesn't get that sort of attention. So sometimes I would be ignorant to say I know as much about MLS2, which I don't. I actually don't do a lot of work with MLS2. It's just more difficult to have pipelines for your players out of one team. But yeah, I mean, these players could be very much ready, and we just don't see as much as we would in USL, for example.
Sure. Let's talk about some of these other guys. Like we've given Chris Applewhite the appropriate amount of attention, but we do have
Applewhite of our eye.
The Applewhite of our eyes. Such a Shakespeare you are, Logan. This is why we have you. But we do have Isaiah Jones and Adam Sipich.
Yeah.
Austin, what do you think about these other two? Like, these are the other two homegrowns that we have. Is there potential with these two?
Look at Isaiah Jones' brother, who's playing with was it NYC FC, right?
Yeah, Malachi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's with City.
If that's Isaiah Jones's future, then I think that he's going to make some waves. Sipich has been there for a little bit. A lot of people have been calling his number. But like I said, I think Woobens Pacius is more of who we need to look for as at that striker position from Huntsville. And so I don't know if Sipic is there yet. I think that he is getting better. But Isaiah Jones, when we're talking like homegrown players, I think that he has a lot of potential. I mean, he's on our MLS roster. He's had some experience already with the MLS team with BJ Callahan last season. And so I think that we're going to see a little bit more of him. We did have a midfield overhaul, so I don't know where his role lies now. With a lot of bringing in a lot of the older players, like Shea was talking about in that midfield. So I'm hopeful that he is somebody that we can develop more and see more, and I hope that we utilize him well and we don't lose him, because I do think that there's potential there.
Well, I'll end on this, guys. The contracts are not player friendly in terms of years with these. Let me explain this. They're actually long contracts, but there's a lot of club option years built on top. So the club has control of these players for a long time. The player has very little control in terms of what they can do on year to year. So there might just be an incentive for the club to keep the player around until that contract runs out. So just because a player's around doesn't mean that he's fulfilling his contract, but rather the club just has all these option years and they can give it another go to see if one more year of development makes sense. So I wouldn't look too deep into, he's still here sort of thing. It's just the contracts are built that way. That makes a lot of sense for the club just to hold on to the player because, again, it doesn't affect the budget.
And we did get to see.
It really sucks that you're giving these young guys the raw deal there.
I don't want that for my players. It's from a player's take, it's a really bad deal. You're stuck. You're stuck until you're 22, 23, 24, whatever, whenever you sign. Actually, not 24, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
But would that not make you like, that's kind of like a prove it type of situation with these homegrowns? Like, I mean, I'm not a big fan of screwing people over and keeping them in a bad situation. But like when you have a deal set up with, especially with these guys, we don't know anything. There's not enough out there for most of these guys for us to be like, it's a home run or not. That type of deal and giving you that type of label, like at that point, it's like you have to put in all of the extra work, all of the extra reps, and really really force yourself to that next level is what that type of deal signals to me.
But we've seen a couple of those from these guys who have already been on the team, in Isaiah Jones, in Adam Sipic. You've gotten to see them on the pitch, and they're not just going to get on the pitch in a first team setting just because. Like, they're not just going to get thrown out there because, we signed you, so we're going to have to play you. No, like, and Isaiah Jones didn't play long. In some
Isaiah Jones had like 27 minutes, bro.
He didn't play long, but
and most of that was because his brother was on the other side of the pitch.
But he did get
played
on
him against his brother,
and they did play him against his brother. I think he committed a foul against his brother, if I remember right. But
Good. That's what I want to see.
But that's what I'm saying is, like, you do put those guys out there because they know certain players or certain play styles. You put those guys out there because they grew up in those positions. Adam Sipic just played well in that position. Now he's not seen, many starts. I think he's had a couple, but he hasn't seen many starts. And Isaiah Jones is, he went from 0 starts the year before, or 0 plays the year before, to a couple games last year. I think we will continue to see those things develop up. And seeing as they are homegrown players, I know that with a guy who has a heavy focus in development and academy in BJ Callahan, we're going to see him actually start to develop these younger guys who are the homegrowns who we have officially picked up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see, because to me, like, Applewhite is the only one that, and I don't know what BJ Callahan's level of involvement is when it comes to like who's getting these contracts, but he's the only one in my mind that's like gotten the Callahan stamp of approval. So when we do look at the overall program with the homegrowns in particular, we've signed homegrowns in all 3 phases of the game. It's almost like, to me right now, what I want to see, it's not even what I am seeing, but what I want to see is, you guys know how what they call the Green Bay's Packer mentality, the system they have they are committed. They built through the draft, and they will get you to that point where you're ready to play. You know what I'm saying? So right now, obviously, there's a ton of room to grow. I like that I like the signs. I see signs. I see strong signs that they're trying to build a pipeline. I mean, we did see Roomba come in when you know what happened to our man Gary. Roomba came in for a little bit, and we were impressed, if only for a little bit. But you know, Roomba is the guy he's down there with these guys.
Yeah.
So I saw quality in Roomba that I had not seen because I didn't know he was down there. The problem to me is there just isn't a lot of info. But these three guys do impress me, especially Applewhite impresses me. I can't wait to see them get more senior team minutes, which I hope to see more of in this preseason. We saw Sipic get the goal. It was a good goal. Applewhite, again, the one to watch, and he definitely shows the most long-term potential. But, you know, like Shea, like he said, man, it's such a toss-up with this part of the MLS. We don't know what we're getting. But I will say this to the fans. Keep paying attention to what Nashville is doing. Don't just because you're not getting the news, go and find it. It's out there. We're giving it to you. We just talked to Eric. We just talked to Eric. Like we're showing you these people that Nashville is trying to do something. They've shown me with their coach hiring, with their rhetoric, that they believe in the youth. All right. Austin, take us out, baby.
All right, guys. Well, we are going to wrap another episode. Thank you again to Erik Lauta. Thank you, Shea, for jumping on with us, our favorite FIFA agent. Thank you to all of our listeners. We could not do it without you. Special shout out to our ace producer, Doug Branson, keeping us rolling on this podcast. But guys, don't forget to stay connected. Just like Tunji said, we are giving you news. We had first official interview with Erik Lauta, new player signing with Huntsville City, and so we are trying to get you all of this breaking news as much as we can from the fan standpoint. We want to be the voice of the fans, so send in your questions, your topics, what you want us to cover. Hit us up at mixtape615.com and on all of our socials. Hit us up at Instagram, Facebook, X, and for all of our video content, you can find us at Mixtape615pod on YouTube. So guys, keep it real, keep it vibing. Until next episode, Mixtape 615 is signing off.